You're watching a Nighthawk Network presentation.
Good evening, people. Okay, I know you are sitting here expecting to see the show that we call the Indie Experience this evening. We are unable to do that show this evening because our guests did not commit like we needed them to. It's all good though, because we got good news. We are actually going to give you guys this evening a bonus episode of the show Speaking Freely with Ms Gigo. Now, of course, in order to do that, I need, let's see, some topics. I got those. I need to speak freely about it. I'll do that. What we missing? Oh, the most important thing. We need Miss Gigo. Here her is.
What's good again, everybody? Appreciate you joining us tonight for a bonus of speaking freely. And we got some good topics. And these topics gonna be juicy. A lot of y'all gonna have a lot to say here on these topics. So we gonna jump right into the first one. And who's gonna tell us the topics for this evening? Our boy Ebuck is joining the show tonight to tell us the topics.
Ebook. Oh yeah, that's me. Yeah. I got it. All right, look, y'all. First of all, we would like to thank you guys for watching this show, and thank you for hearing us a few weeks ago when we put out the call for you guys to bring us some topics to talk about on the show. A couple of you definitely did tune in and listen, and you submitted your topics. Now, for the one person, and you know who you is, you just nasty. You know we cannot talk about that on the air, okay? I'm gonna talk to you in private later. But for the other person, I liked your topic and hope Limit Bro Gigo will as well, so we about to come on with it. Alright. Here's what you have submitted. Now, hold on. Somebody already checking in. Let's see. Oh. That would be our friend Queen Gemini. What up, Queen? What's
What's up,
happening?
Queen?
Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you. All right, now here is the scenario. All right, this scenario is entitled, at least this is the title I've given it. But what if we are married? But what if we are married? I shall explain after we hit the next comment. Hold on. That is Rose saying, welcome everyone. Yes, welcome, welcome. All right, look, here it is. All right. Bro, as you are aware, they have this thing called married, which basically means that you get married to your significant other, okay? Now, here's the thing. What if your significant other is not of age? In other words, what are if they are under 18? Now, as you know, in this beautiful state that is Michigan, they don't play that. No, not allowed, okay? You are there in New Jersey, correct?
Yes.
I believe that's not allowed there either,
I
correct?
think the age. I think Jersey's age of consent is 16.
Now, thank you for mentioning that. The key word here is age of consent, okay? Now, here's our story. Two young people met one another at a dance in a middle school years ago, okay? At that time, they were both 11 years old. 11. All right. They then went on from that day to be, quote unquote, a couple and actually date one another. These two individuals live in a rural area in one of the states that I will mention. Not the state, but the rural in the state in particular. Okay, let's fast forward 5 years later. They are both now 16 years old, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The young man in the relationship decides that yes, I'm going to propose to my girlfriend and ask her to marry me. He is 16, she is 16, okay? Now, you're saying, no, they can't do that. They can't do that. No, on the contrary, they can do that. In the state that they live in, much like several of the other states, it is the age in which each state has found appropriate for that person to be able to make the decision to marry someone, that you are allowed to do so. So no, that's not even 16. In a couple states, that's not even 14. If you are deemed eligible to do that even earlier than 14, you are allowed to do so under the one condition, which is that you have parental consent. Another key part to the story, parental consent, okay? So once these two teens decided, yes, we want to marry each other, they both went to their people and said, I want to marry this person, but I need your permission to do so. They have granted that permission, and they are going to be married later on this summer. So here is the question, good people. But what if we are married? These two young people are 16 years old and they are getting married and are allowed to do so by law in their state because they have parental consent. First and foremost, what's your thoughts on that? And second of all, there's more parts to the story that may change your perspective. Let's start with just the basic. Two 16-year-olds, should they get married?
Hell to the no. And I'm saying
Why,
it just like that.
bro? Why, bro? Hold on, we got comments. Let me get to them before we dig into it deeper. Oh, no, no more comments. Okay, go ahead.
I say hell to the no because I'm thinking of my niece or I'm thinking of my nephew in this situation. At 16, you don't know what love is. At 16, you don't know what love is because as you get older, what you think you thought was love is going to change. So when you hit 21, he or she is not going to be the person you want to be with. That's why they say when you're young and you're in a relationship, they call it puppy love because you don't know what love
Puppy,
is.
puppy love.
If you when you get older, you're gonna start realizing that marrying a person at 60, even though y'all both the same age, but getting married young, you is gonna be a regret you have when you get older. I ain't never been married, but I've been young and in love, and I know that once I got older, that person I was in love with then, I wasn't in love with when I got to a certain age. Once you hit a certain age in your life, those people you had crushes on back then, them crushes fade because you don't like they in your face when you're young because y'all around each other. Once everybody move on and get grown and do things, you don't see each other like you used to. So that person's not constantly on your mind because you ain't seeing them like you used to. So this is a puppy love phase that these two are in, and because they think it's love, they want to get married. But I have a sneaky suspicion that on the guy's part is he wants to marry her so he can have sex, and them having sex won't be in the wrong. That's my sneaky suspicion with this.
Okay,
And
good
for
people. All right, Rose. Here's the thing. Not knowing any of the other scenario at first, I was with you. Y'all 16, you don't know what love is. You couldn't have no real idea about it. Have you even been involved with anybody else? To answer that first or that last question, the answer is no. The only person each of them have ever dated was each other. First of all, To answer your
Hmm.
other question, yes, from what we know in the story, both of these young people have already had intercourse. They are each other's first and only, to my knowledge. Okay, so yes, they've already had sex. Here's some of what you don't know. Okay, first of all, currently, neither one of these people are in school. Okay? There's reasons, mind you. The one person is not in school because they dropped out. All right? The second person is not in school because they've already graduated. Now, I want you to guess which one is which.
She done graduated early. He he dropped out because school ain't for him. But he love this girl. He don't want to lose this girl. So he want to make this girl his wife.
All right. You have guessed correctly. She is the one who has graduated. He is the one who dropped out. Now, normally, okay, red flags, right? Not
Mm-hmm.
so fast, my friend. Check this part of it out. She has graduated and she is currently going to nursing school to become a nurse. However, she is currently working. Here's a new dynamic. She is working for him because he dropped out because he has a job. And his job is he runs his family's farm. A rural farm, yes. A profitable rural farm where they have made over $100,000 every year for the last 5 years. Okay, so he's making money. He has a profession. He is a farmer. They have a successful farm, so that is why he dropped out of school because he knows what he wants to do with his life. He wants to be a farmer. She wants to be a nurse. Now, granted, they still just 16, y'all. But how many people who are adults now that get married know what the hell they want to do with their life going into the marriage?
You say
Hey,
get your farm on.
I hear that's what he doing. He's a farmer.
I get it. I get it that he's joined the family business, but he still should
He
have
is
got his
running the
diploma.
family business at 16. I was kind of impressed by
I
that.
get that, and that's good for him. But he still should have got his diploma. Because what if something happens to where they lose the family farm? What education is he gonna form? How he gonna get another job with no high school diploma or a GED?
Now, that lends itself to a whole nother topic we could talk about on another show about how important is today's high school diploma or college degree. I'm not going to dig that deep into it. But for the time being, at least, that brother got a good job. He making more money than I do. And he's 16. I ain't mad at him for that. He is able to provide for his family. And no, I know somebody's gonna ask that. No, she is not pregnant. Nothing like that has went on. This ain't no shotgun wedding. They basically just want to get married, okay? The family not only approves, but they greatly approve. They love these two young people. Oh, let me mention something else of importance in this story. Currently, they live together in their own separate household on the farm, of course. But they live together, him and her, not with their parents, but obviously their parents know where they stay. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, even though I believe it is lawful for them to allow them to get married, I think currently what they're doing living together is not lawful. I think that's actually a crime for them two to be living together, having sex and not married. I think that's actually a criminal act, technically. Okay, he was saying this dude is like the refrigerated prairie of drug dealing, but with eggs. Now, see, that's the part I don't. I don't know what kind of farm it is. I think I will ask that person. Basically, Uh oh, we done lost Road.
You're
Road.
muted. You're muted.
No, you're gone. They hear me. We don't see you.
See,
We
you're
hear
muted.
you. No, I'm not. You're muted. Okay,
Oh,
hold on.
do I need to refresh?
Yeah, you need to do something. Okay, Ro hears me. Well, Ro don't hear me, but we can hear her. We can't see her. So while she works that out on her end, let me get back to the
But I can
comments
hear
here.
you.
Queen is saying, hold on, Queen. I guess to I'm trying to help Roll here, but at the same time, okay. Back to the comment.
No,
Wait
no,
a minute.
no. That means I gotta refresh.
Okay, she's doing that. All right, she'll be back in a minute, y'all. Hold on. Okay, hold on. I'm having trouble with the comments here. Comment. Rose says if he can do that at 16, he can survive anything that comes his way. I ain't mad at that. I kind of feel that way as well. Let's see. Hugh was saying they definitely making mad money off those eggs, says Hugh. It would be nice if it was an egg farm. That's pretty consistent as long as you don't run into the whole bird flu thing. Roll blacked out on us. Hold on, I think we got Roll back now. Yep, there she is. Can you hear us, Roll? Roll?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear
I
me?
don't hear you.
Okay, we hear you. You can't hear us. We hear you. We do hear you. You just can't hear us. Okay, we are trying to get this together
Okay.
here. Keep talking, Roll. We hear you. Keep going. Okay, Miss Beverly is saying living together at 16 is the wrong answer. Okay, so again, let us review. This topic is entitled, But What If We Are Married? Or I should say, What If We Are Getting Married? Because, of course, they're not married yet. We got two 16 years old people. They've only dated one another. They've been together for 5 years. They recently decided to get married to one another. Neither one of them is in school right now because the one has graduated early and the other has dropped out of school to work in the family business that is a farm. He is currently making six figures. Okay, Rose saying I can't hear you, but we hear her. We hear you though, Rose. We do hear you. You are on the show. Okay, hold on. Let me convey that to Rose. And hope well, she is gone again. She'll be back. Okay. Again, we can hear Rose. She can't hear us. Don't know what's going on with that. But anyway, so the question is, first of all, even though they have permission and all, should they get married? They only 16, okay? The answer is, without knowing any of those other facts, I would instantly say no. You're too young. You've only dated one another. You haven't experienced life, etc., etc. But then now we know that they are. All right, hold on. Ro, can you hear
Can
us?
you hear me?
Yes.
I still can't hear you.
Okay, keep talking.
I mean, I got. Okay, let's see here.
Oh, she gone again. All right. You know these things happen when we go live sometimes, people. Be patient with us. We got a good one going here, but we just got to get Ro back in the mix here. Keep talking, Ro. We can hear you. All right. Hopefully you see that message and we can work from there. But okay. Now, another fact about this story. Again, they are living in a state where you can legally get married before you are 18 with parental permission. Both parents on both sides have agreed that it is cool with them if they get married, okay? They got money, they have a household that they're living in separate to the parents on the farm that he works on, okay? Uh, now that we're into the story, let's talk about certain facts, okay? Remember, most of these states that still have this law on the books where you can get married under the age of 18 take into account what the law was at the time that the law was made. Okay, most of these laws were made in the 1900s or early 1800s. Remember, the life expectancy at that time was about 40 years old. Most people lived to about 40 or 50, okay? Because of that life expectancy, it was seen as more of a common sense thing for people to get married at an earlier age, okay? But even back then, most of these marriages usually involved somebody that was considerably older and somebody that was younger. And more times than not, the younger person was the female, okay? Also, keep in mind, in many other countries, good people, you are allowed to get married to someone before they turn 18. In many of the other countries, particularly over in the Asian countries and the African countries in particular, that is very much allowed, okay? So some of y'all looking at it from a strictly it look bad and they not grown standpoint, in the eyes of other countries and other people, they don't look at it that way. They say you know that stupid old saying from back in the day. I, okay, Ro, can you hear us?
I can hear you now.
All right, and we see you. Okay, yeah. Like I said, part of what I'm going into is the fact that in several other countries, the age of consent is under 18. You can marry somebody under 18 in a lot of different countries, particularly in the African nations and in the Asian countries. That is very much allowed. And then I started to go with that stupid saying that people like to say, the perverted people, I might add. If she's old enough to pee, she's old enough for me. That's a very trifling saying, but you get the gist of it. So yeah, again, the question is: they both 16 years old. They both have their parents' consent to get married. Is this a good idea? Is this a bad idea? Yes, they are both currently working. She actually works for him on the farm that he is running for his family that makes over six figures in the last 5 years. I don't know what type of farm it is. Now that y'all brought that question into the mix, I really would like to know. But
Like
considering all the other factors, I still say no. But I'm kind of like maybe. All right, hold on. We still got
no.
yeah. He was saying the purrs out here is wilding out. Yeah, I know, right?
I would say no,
Uh huh.
but they, me, if I'm the parent, I would say no.
Okay, now here's the question, Ro. Would you be more likely to say yes if one of them was the parent right now? In other words, one of them has a child with the other one?
I'm not gonna see. This is the thing. I'm not forcing my child to get married just because some good dude got her pregnant. Regardless of how much she loved him, regardless how much he loved her, I'm not gonna force my child into a marriage just because someone got her pregnant. A lot of these parents do that, where they
Now
force their
remember, bro,
child
this
into
ain't a
marriage
forced
because the
situation.
person got them pregnant.
It's not a forced situation. They both have agreed
I know
mutually.
it's not a forced situation. I know this is not a force, but I'm saying in some cases it it happens where parents do that.
Yes, that's true.
That's why you hear the term shotgun wedding, because
Yes.
you forcing someone to marry your child because they got them pregnant or they and I wouldn't advise on that because it's not gonna last long.
I mean, here's the thing. Again, I think we thinking about this from the perspective of two people who are city people who have lived in states where they don't do this type of stuff. In the back rows of whatever state this is seen as more commonplace. I do know people in my family who married young. I don't think I know anybody that married under 18, but they definitely live in states that allow that. Um, like I said, I kind of not as bad with it in this particular instance because of the fact that they do seem to have some type of life plan in place. My problem still is that they don't have any life experience, particularly outside of each other. Just the mere fact that neither one of them has dated anybody else ever but them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I believe in your soulmate and all of that. I get that part of it. It could very well be that. But in the same token, I think it's just more likely to not be that than it is that. Again, I don't know what rural town this is. I don't know how many people are in that town. I do know both of them are African American, and the parents love both of them and all of that. I know all that, but I don't
I
know.
see that got me there. I was thinking white the whole time. I was thinking they were white.
No, they are actually black. Okay, Queen says, I say yes. They have their stuff together better than most so called adults. Watch, they will be together 80 years. And understand, this is from Queen who lives in North Carolina, and I imagine she would probably know more people that is more than likely, and that's, I don't know what the law is in North Carolina, mind you, but I imagine Queen, not to you know, no disrespect, but I think you would know more rural area people than we would because we city folks. But yeah, I mean, from what I was told of the scenario and how they are with one another and whatnot, I want it to work for them. I really do
I do
because
too.
they seem to be equally yoked, as the Bible say, and all that good stuff. They are age appropriate. I mean, I would feel differently if this person was 26 and she was 16, or vice versa. You know what I'm saying? But they
Mhm.
both of age. I think, if I remember correctly, they both like a month apart. Age wise. So yeah, Queen says yes. I do. I do know such people. Yeah. So yeah, you get what I'm saying, Queen. But yeah, I like I
Yeah,
said.
you right. You right. We city folk and city folk ain't having that. Cause my father been like, hell no. you he would sit down, have the conversation, and say, you don't know what love is. At
Okay.
16, you don't know what love is. He'd have had that conversation with the young man and would have said, no. When you
Again,
mature enough and you figure out what love is, and if you still love my daughter, then I will consider letting y'all get married. Other than that, and
but
but
what if
he's
we
gonna
are
come to
married?
me. See, he's
Mm-hmm.
gonna have the conversation with the young man. Their conversation is gonna be different than the conversation he have with me, because he's gonna come to me and say, "You pregnant?" That might be the first thing coming out his mouth. Because why are 2 16-year-olds talking about we want to get married? So that
But
might be the first thing coming out his mouth.
what really made me think more about this topic is that we have certain perspectives because of how we grew up. Okay, what we as American people often forget is that it's a whole big old world out there outside of us. Okay, United States
Hmm.
only represents 4% of the world's population. There are, if we doing this show in, pick a country, Taiwan, Philippines, what have you, they probably looking at us like, what's the problem? It might actually be some countries like 16. Why they wait so long? They could have got married when they knew they loved each other at 12. Okay, he was saying, hold on here. Hold on. Wait, and Queen is saying, and you can't tell somebody how they feel. True, true. Hugh was saying, this debate is tearing us apart.
But
it,
yeah, you can't tell somebody how they feel or who they should or who they love. But when you're young, trust me, like I said before, you don't know what love is at 16 or even younger than that. Talking about you in love, you want to get married to this person. because your
But
feelings as you get older are going to start to change, and them feelings you had in the beginning are not going to be the same once y'all married, because like you said, they only been with each other.
Hewitt said, okay, for our example, let it be Bangladesh. I just love that name. Actually, it could be Islamabad for all I care. I like that name. Of course, if y'all been paying attention to the news, Islamabad is the place where they keep going to do these working out treaties between Iran and U.S. and it ain't working. So maybe they should not go to Islamabad. Maybe they should go somewhere. But anyway, yeah, it's an interesting scenario. But my
It
thing
is.
is, it really made me look into, the fact that, yeah, I didn't know so many states that was still a law in the books where you could get married before you was 18. I thought it was
Yeah,
only a few
you
states where you
need
could
your
do that.
parents' consent though.
Right,
Even
but even
though
still, it's
they
over
say
20 states where you could do that. I did not know that. I
yeah,
thought
you
that
can do
even with that, you
you
still
can
had to be
do
like
it.
16.
You can
I know
do
you
it,
could be
but
right.
you need parents' consent.
Yeah, I knew
And if the
that
parents
much.
can, hey,
I mean, keep in mind the
you
reason why you need parental consent is a law thing. Because remember, you're not supposed to be able to enter any legal contract before the age of 18. That is why you need your parents' consent. Because being married is actually a legal contract you enter between two people. That is why you need your parents' consent. Hold on. He was now saying that what about high school sweethearts who became husband and wife? Yeah, I get that, Hugh, but again, usually that's a scenario where they dated in high school and then when they graduated and both was adults, they made the decision, okay, I love you, you love me, let's be together for life. But again,
yeah.
the key word is adult. Adult. These two young people are not adults, even though they are living as adults. They are taking care of responsibilities and things as adults. Hell, they even got their own separate cars. Like I said, they got a lot going on for people that's 16. I can't even deny that. I ain't even had no damn car at 16, let alone my own car.
So
But so, Road, you basically say it's no matter what.
well, I one I thought they were white, so I'm thinking white parents they most white most white parents would say yes to something like that. Then when you said they were black, I
Interesting.
said that changed when you said they were black. I said what?
Hugh, you
you don't hear
stupid.
too
Hugh
many
said,
you don't hear too
yeah.
many black farmers. You
Hugh
don't hear about
said,
a lot of
I get it, y'all. The world don't move just for the beat of just one drum. What might be right for you might not be right for some. You stupid for that, Hugh. Please tune in to Two on Talking TV next Thursday, by the way. But anyway, yeah, I mean, one, yes, there are black farmers. There's a whole black farmers
there are, but you don't
council and everything.
you don't hear about them like you hear about regular Joe Schmo. You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
You
like
don't
I said, I understand you in New Jersey is probably not as many farms there, but here in Michigan, there are several farms, and there's a whole black farmers organization here just in Michigan alone. Matter of fact, one of the bigger firms in the United States is owned by a black person. I believe it's a milk farm, I want to say. It's money in milk. I
but
definitely got to find out what type of
if the
farm it
parents
is.
see we giving our opinion,
Mm-hmm.
but if the parents are okay with it, we can't change their opinion.
If they
The
good with it, I
parents
can't be
are okay with
mad.
it. Right, we can't be mad at parents are okay with it. But see,
I
when
mean,
you listen to the scenario without saying what the race is of the two teenagers, people on because you said that he's a farmer on a farm, people are automatically going to assume it's white. Well,
Okay, he
right.
said because they don't want us to hear about it, especially if it's something positive in the black community. I agree with that, Hugh. Now it'd be different. They was two, you know, ninjas, and this was going on, and it was all ghettofied and whatnot. And they want to make a whole reality TV show out of it and all that. Then it'd be different. These just two regular people living a regular life, you know. All right, we got
But
Coach checking into the show. Coach said, "What up, though, Roll? Big Easy. What's going on, Coach?"
what up, Coach? But
Okay, Queen is
he should have
saying
dropped. Even though I get it, he's working for the family business. He should have never jumped out of school. He should have got his diploma like she did, and then
the,
he went into the family business.
the parents like it. I love it.
But
Now, Roll. I know that's part of a bone of contention with you, but the man could go back to school. He could get his GED. I ain't even tripping on that end of it. I'm just impressed the brother got a job that make that type of money at 16. Again, he make more money than I do.
he
Now,
make more
granted,
money than a lot of people. Yeah.
he don't make more money than you. Let me find out you make over 100,000, and you could have loaned me some money all this time. Yeah, bro. Let me find out you got some money.
No, I'm saying he make. I say he make a lot of money more than a lot of people. Cause see,
Mm.
if he had my parents, they would have. My dad would have probably said, "Wait till you 18." He might go along with it, but he probably would have said, "Wait till you 18."
Now, here's the thing. My mother was born and raised here in the D. I think she would have been like her father. Nope, nope, hell no. Keep in mind, my mother didn't even allow me to date at 16, let alone talk about getting married. Her rule was that I was not allowed to date till I was 18. Fortunately, her and my father had a discussion about that, and it changed to 16, but it took a minute to get us there. And that actually is going to bring us to our next subject after this comment here. Okay, Hugh says twerking and acting hood on the farm. They would love some fish like that. Yeah, that probably would be an instant reality TV show, truthfully. But okay. So yeah, if y'all have any more comments about that particular subject, feel free to put them in the comments later on. We're gonna take this commercial break, and then we're gonna hit our second topic and see what y'all think about that. This one involves co-parenting. So kind of put that in your mind.
Oh, so bitter. The song "Bitter" kind of fits.
We'll see if you think that when we talk about it when we come back on our show known as Speaking Freely with Ms Gigo, with special co-host this evening, your boy E Beezy. But first, this word from the Nighthawk Network. Bro, what's the motto?
Our voices for our people.
Damn right!
This is the story about an African American woman who is passionate about professional wrestling and goes to countless events. She then, one day,
Hey! Okay, I guess they ain't like that commercial today. Well, anyway, please tune into our girl Rumble Time. That came on before the show this evening, and it comes on Sunday before our other show, known as Speaking Freely with Gigo. And this is a special episode of Speaking Freely with Ms. Gigo. I think y'all all like that first topic pretty good. We're going to go on to the second one. This one involves co-parenting. And the topic I have entitled, hold on, let me find it. Here you go. Co-parenting versus child's point of view. Co-parenting versus child's point of view. Here is the story, good people. We have a child who is 14 years old. Her situation is that she is having trouble with school. She's not doing very well. She's already been put back 2 grades, and it's just not working out the way it was, okay? Early on in her family situation, her mother and her father did not get along whatsoever. Was cats and dogs with it, hell on earth, all of that. As they gotten older, they have come to understandings. And now, over the years, they have developed a relationship to where they are able to successfully co-parent and not be a burden on one another. The father is in the child's life. He is helping to support the child financially. She does visit his household from time to time, but she primarily lives with her mother at this point. Okay? We clear on that part of the story, right? Now, what happens
Mhm.
is her two parents get together and have a discussion about what to do about the education of the child. Because right now, she is on the verge of flunking out another grade. Okay? And what was determined is that, okay, we need to take her out of the school she is in right now, which is a public school, and have her
Mhm.
go to a charter school that is located in the father's neighborhood. Understanding that this school specializes in children with learning disabilities and, need help with school, what have you, and also is one of the better schools in the state for said thing. Okay? Y'all with us so far?
Mhm.
They trying to do what's best for the child. Okay? Mother and father both agree. So the plan is to have the child move from her household with her mother to go live with her father and attend this school. All sounds okay, right? Mother and
Yes.
father both in agreement. The problem
Mhm.
is child does not agree. Does not like it, does not want it, highly upset, threatened to run away, the whole deal. Okay? So before we go further into the story, first and foremost, what is your thoughts?
Well, this is the opposite of the bitter situation that we talked about weeks ago.
No
This
longer
is
bitter. That would be the remix.
and I get it. She's failing. She's keep getting going back a grade and not being in her rightful grade.
Ooh, great. Ooh, great.
What the parents should be doing is getting her a tutor. But first, they should be finding out what's causing the problem of her not being successful in school, and then get her tutor to catch her up so that she won't have to go back a grade or two grades. That's what they should be doing because switching to school is not going to fix the problem.
Okay,
Switching to school is not fixing the problem.
He was saying, what's the reason behind her wanting to stay with her mother? Okay, let's dig a little further into the story here. First of all, the issue is that at some point early in that child's life, she had medical issues. Those medical issues led to a cancer diagnosis. So early on in the child's life, she had cancer. She received cancer treatments, as in the usual
Mhm.
cancer treatments that an adult would receive, which is chemotherapy and medication, so on. It has caused her to have some developmental skills in terms of her brain development.
Mhm.
No, she is not dyslexic or slow or autistic or anything like that. It's that she does not comprehend the work as quickly as her fellow classmates. In certain grades, there wasn't so much an issue. In other grades, it has been. And as she has gotten older, it's become more of an issue because obviously, as you get into the eighth, ninth, 10th grade, things get a little harder. They deal with more stuff, kind of harder
Mhm.
to learn these things. So, what they have learned over the years is that if you take the time to teach her how to do certain things, she will eventually get it, but you have to work with her. You have to have somebody willing to work with her. Now, apparently, this program that they want to put her into, it basically puts her in line with a person that tutors her through her classwork. In other words, they actually sit with her in the classes and help her with the lesson as the lesson is going on. So that way she has her own kind of teacher to help her with stuff while they go through the lesson. And then of
Mhm.
course she can always go to the tutoring sessions and whatnot after the fact. So it lines up well for what they need for her. The problem is that she doesn't want to live with the father. Now, here's from my understanding the three reasons why that is. One, her father, they don't get along great. They don't get along bad, just not great, okay? Because she's still getting to know him. Remember the first few years of her life, he wasn't really around, and the mom, she was one of those moms. Your daddy ain't
Mhm.
ish, blah 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 blah. She has now learned to not do that, but damage is done. All right.
Mhm.
First of all, second of all, very key point here. When she lives with her mother, she is her mother's only child. Okay, her only child. So she lives life as an only child in her mother's household. Now, for those of you who are only children out there, more times than not, y'all spoiled. You know you spoiled. Because all you gotta do is mama, 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 and because you're the only child, you usually get what you want in this day and age that is 2026. That is the case with this child. However, when she goes to stay with her father has three other children that live with him. And she is the middle child in that scenario. Okay? So when she goes over there, she has to deal with being a sibling. Something that she does not have to contend with in her household with her mom. Does not like that. Likes her attention, blah, 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 blah. See what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Second issue. Third issue, she is a young lady, nice looking young lady. She gets all type of attention at the school she is currently in. She is the popular girl, so on and so forth. At this other school, she just one of the kids. Now, the key part is in this school she's at now, that's a public school, it's a mixture of kids, okay? It's white kids, black kids, Hispanic kids, what have you. At the school that her father wants her to attend, that's a charter school, it's primarily people that look like us, and she, of course, looks like us. So there is no major differences there. Everybody black, everybody cute, etc., etc. Okay, Hugh says I wouldn't want to leave neither if I was the only child. I get that. That part of it I get. If
But
I, but you go ahead, bro.
for me, even if I was the only child, a better education. I'm not. I'm. I'm. I'm fighting. I'm fighting. Talking about running away because I want to stay at a school that's not even giving me a good education. I'd rather go to where I'm getting a good education than to be in a place where I'm not getting a good education.
Okay,
But
bro. You thinking like a child of the 80s and 90s, much like I would be thinking. I wouldn't want to be at a school where everybody think I'm dumb and whatnot, even if I am the popular person. I would rather go somewhere where I fit in and, it's not unusual for people to be sitting in class giving me help because that's that type of school. So ain't nobody gonna be teasing me about that because that happens commonplace. When you go to the tutor at this other school, ha, you stupid. Not to mention, okay, you didn't grew up with these kids at this school, so they know you behind a couple grades. So they know you're not in your right grade. And yes, she does get teased about that. That is part of the scenario. Unfortunately, kids are very cruel when it comes to stuff like that. Okay, Queen is checking in. Her mother can go to the school and get her help at her current school. Leave her where she is comfortable. Interesting. What's your thoughts about that, Ro? You agree with Queen?
okay, she's saying leave her where she's comfortable.
And get her the help she
But
needs there.
that I said that's what I said from the jump. The parents should have figured out what was wrong and got her the help. But The parents are thinking if we switch schools, she would get the better help. But maybe there's somebody in the school she's currently in that can help her, and she don't have to go nowhere.
I think because they got together and came to a group decision in regards to this, I feel the young lady should at least try what the parents have set up. Because I think part of it really is the fact that she's afraid. She's afraid of what's on the other side of the coin. Right now, she's where she is quote unquote comfortable because at least she know what that's about. So remember, even though she popular, she still get teased for being in her wrong grade and all of that. If you go to this other school where it ain't that issue, not to mention, public school and charter school, two different type of environments, okay? Most public schools, it's what you think it would be. It's the bullies, it's the cliques, all that other stuff. Your
Mm-hmm.
charter schools, they tend to be more anti that. They tend to have more programs that revolve around, okay, let's get these kids in a comfortable environment, no bullies tolerated, so on and so forth. So I think they would work with her to make her more comfortable on that end. Okay? The other thing is that we're not talking about enough in this is that she has other siblings. Half siblings, okay, whatever. But they are her blood to that degree. And I think she owes it to herself to get to know them. And part of getting to know them is to be around them more. You know what your mother's people and all of that is like. You've lived with her for 14 years. It's time to find out what's going on with your other family. Queen says, right, and then she will have three siblings to deal with. And from my understanding, she don't seem to have no issues with the siblings. She just don't know them well because she ain't been around them enough. And again, she is the middle child. I think that's a good environment for her to be in. So you got younger siblings that will look up to you, and you have an older sibling that perhaps will help you in ways that your parents cannot.
Yeah, you're right. Because I'm not the middle child. I'm the baby of all the children.
Okay. Yeah, Queen
So
says that don't always end well. Okay, go ahead.
I'm the baby of all the children. So before my mom and dad was together, my mother was previously married and had two children. Then she got with my dad and had three more children. So she had a total of five, but she was married both times. And then my dad, before him and my mom got together, he had a child previous from another relationship. So you could say I'm the baby out of five, even though the two are from a previous relationship. Still, I don't say this is my half brother, my half sister. I say that's my sister, that's my brother, like that. So I know what it's like being the baby. The baby of the family always gets away with everything. The middle child, not so much. So I can see where she's coming from. Being the middle child is like the younger sibling will get away with stuff. She's not gonna get away with stuff. The older sibling, depending on how old the older sibling is, they're not gonna be around too much. So she's gonna be the one around the younger siblings. And most of the time, when you when your parent not together, when your parents are not together, and the other parent got more children, you become the babysitter. And
Okay,
I so I
Hugh says I love being the youngest because he is the youngest. Of course, I am the oldest, so Though I'm hearing what you're saying, part of me like, bro, whatever, man. Being the oldest sucked. Being the oldest did suck. I cannot lie. Because you had the extra responsibility. Especially in this household where I basically was the de facto parent at times, to where my mother would go in her room and do her, and I had to deal with the kids.
And
But I still
that's the
contended with my
thing.
dog on say.
And
Okay,
that's what
hold on.
a lot of parents do that when
Hugh
they got
said,
other
no, I'm sorry. Yeah, Hugh said we had cliques in high school: the Polo Girls, the Fresh Boys, and the Preppies. On top of the gang violence in the public schools was wild. Now, I'm not saying that charter schools don't have them issues. Also, they're just less likely to have them because of how they are
Mhm.
usually set up.
Now for me, I didn't in high school. We didn't. There really wasn't no click, clicks, but people did have their issues with other people. Because people, I think when I went to high, it's all about people talking about each other. That's basically you know how that go. One person tell you about somebody, and then it gets around, and most of the time it's not even true. People just because they for some reason they don't like the person, and now they want to just talk about the person. So that's basically what
All
I've
right,
been.
so yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
So that's basically what I went through. With school, I was teased in school, but the people that I went through the teasing with, we still friends till this day. Because one, you got to stand. I don't like now they call it bullying. When we went to school it was called teasing, but now they call it bullying. I don't like nobody being bullied,
Me either.
and you got to teach our kids not to. They do need to defend themselves, but they got to also stand up for themselves. Because if you let the bullies win, they're gonna continue bullying you.
All
Because the
right,
bully's
now,
gonna say to them, they're gonna say, "Well, she's not gonna do nothing. She's gonna continue to let me bully her. She's not gonna do anything."
okay, now keep in mind the person I talked to about this particular topic, I suggested a third option. Let me throw that in the mix of this conversation. There's, of
Mhm.
course, the public school she's going to, the charter school
Mhm.
they want to send her to, and
Mhm.
I said, is there any possibility that she could be homeschooled? What's your thought on that?
One is nothing wrong with being homeschooled, but the parent has to be able to do it. Because some parents they work schedule. You know how some people work, or they say I work night shift, so that's okay. They there in the morning, they don't work till night. Then that parent could do that, do the homeschooling until they go to work. But if it was one of them type of where they work in the morning, the same time that y'all go to school, who's going to do the homeschooling?
Well, see, here's the thing. I knew an organization that I was referring her to where she would not be doing the homeschooling. She would be basically because her child is of a particular age and would be
Hmm.
there with, you know, a what's the word I'm looking for? A
So it'll
guardian.
be
There we
like
go.
virtual. It will be like a
It would be a
virtual schooling.
virtual learning experience where basically she would be on the computer learning her stuff, and this person would work with her on a one on one basis with all of her lessons so that she could basically take her time learning it all properly. Remember, they do have online schools now where there is no quote unquote time limit on the lessons. You basically okay, here's the lesson. Whenever you get it done is when it get done. So you can attend that school, and if you finish up early, guess what? You graduate at 15, 14. If you don't finish, you basically get done and you 19, 20, whatever the case may be. But you still get a diploma just like anybody else.
Yeah, that
Uh,
that I
Yeah,
think
Queen said
your
homeschool
third
is a good
option
idea.
would be the best. If she's being teased, I think the third option, because she's been integrated into society. It's not like she was homeschooled first and had no friends. She's been integrated, so she's met people that became friends. So if she's homeschooled, she still got friends.
Right. Keep in mind, I think every scenario has its own separate parts of it. And this scenario where we know she has learning disabilities because of her physical, discrepancies because of her going through cancer treatments and whatnot, she's always going to
Mhm.
have some type of issue. Okay. So because of that, I think ideally you want her to learn in an environment where she is best able to do so without distraction, but also in an environment where the people that are with her love and care about her enough to, you know, be there for her when needed. So my whole thing is, I feel like she could do the homeschooling,
Mhm.
but she could do the homeschooling at her father's house. So that way she still gets the experience of spending time with that part of her family and getting to know them and still be able to be around her siblings. But then what I would do is basically switch the roles because what's been going on is usually during certain holidays and weekends is when she's been going to hang out at her father's house. You do the opposite
Mhm.
now. Have her hang out at the father's house during the week and have her go back home on the weekend. So that way she still can get her time with mom and get spoiled and whatnot on the weekend. Where her mom would have more
Mhm.
time because her mom doesn't work on the weekend, so that works out for her. But yet during the week you still with your siblings and get to know them and whatnot, but you at home, so you don't have to deal with the bullying aspect. And then the way this particular program that I know about is set up, they have it integrated with certain schools, so you can go to school events and still be part of those activities. So say you wanted to be an athlete, you can still be an athlete at that school. Say you want to be a cheerleader, you can still be a cheerleader at that school. Say you just want to go to the dances and whatnot, you could do that at that school.
So maybe. So then here's what I'm thinking. She could still be at the same school she's at, but she's homeschooled, where she still her grades still go to that school. So when she graduates, she gets a diploma from that school, but she's homeschooled instead.
But remember,
If
this
the
school
school
she's
does that, that's
currently
if
at,
the school does that.
right, this school does not have that program. This public school
Uh,
she's at. I like I said, I don't know if this charter school does. The program I'm talking about is something separate from both of them. But I do believe that school that I'm speaking of that does the homeschooling is a charter school also.
if we can help her, get her back on track so she can be in the right grades. Cause when I was younger, and I was in the first grade, I didn't like I didn't want to do the work, so I was getting left back in the first grade. So instead of me getting left back, I went to a whole nother school. But they put me in the special ed class because the teacher, my first grade teacher in the first school, thought I had a learning problem. No, I just didn't want to do the work. But what's crazy is going to another different public school and being put in the special ed class. I still came out on top because I graduated when I was supposed to graduate high school. Because there was people that were in high school with me that were under me that should have been graduating with me at the same time as me, but because of learning disabilities, they were back a grade.
Now, see, I had the opposite scenario where basically I was ahead of my classmates and I got promoted a grade. But because eventually they moved me to the honors classes, that's why, even though I still graduated early, I graduated at 17, but I could have graduated at 16. but my mother wouldn't allow me to for. We'll talk about that some other day. But keep in mind, if I had stayed in
Mhm.
regular classes and not honors classes, I probably could have graduated even before 16. That's just how it's set up for me. But again, I think we getting past the issue of graduating at your quote unquote right age. It's about graduating, period, I feel, for this young lady. Because in the end, like I said, I think she's always
Yes.
gonna have some type of learning disability when it comes to certain things. And the way the world is set up now, I don't think it really matters once you get your high school diploma what you do at that point. Because a lot of people going to college and they graduating and they're not even going into stuff that's in their field. Or a lot of the fields
Yep.
that's currently available in college in this day and age of AI, 10, 15 years from now, they probably gonna be obsolete. Said that man's a genius.
I know exactly. I
I
know
don't know what man
exactly
you
how.
talking about. I ain't no damn genius. Not me, buddy. I'm just smarter than your average bear when it comes to certain stuff. When it comes to other stuff, I feel like I'm dumb as a box of rocks, but that's a whole nother story.
See, and that's see this one with school. Another thing is the age, because if you were you know how they do. If you was born between this time and this time, because I know with school is that if you born at, I think it was either after or something, where if you born from a certain time, you don't you get pushed back.
Okay, I know what you're
So
talking
like
about.
if
Yeah, it used to be when you were born, like for example, I was born November 2nd. Okay, it used to be if you was born after September, you had to start school the following year. So
right that
normally I would have graduated later by those rules, okay? But keep in mind,
hmm
I actually started school early. I started school at 4.
yeah, I did. I went to daycare, nursery daycare, and then from there we went to first grade, kindergarten, pre-kindergarten, kindergarten, first grade. I did all of that and still graduated at the age I was supposed to
Right.
graduate.
I mean, it worked out because remember, my birthday was in November, so I started at 4. But of course, by the time the end of the year came, I was 5. You see what I'm saying?
hmm
So it still put me online. It just so happened that the way my school at with me getting put up a grade and what have you, and then in my junior year, I only had 2 classes left to take
Yeah,
in order to graduate, and I could have took them in summer school. But again, my mother didn't allow that, so that's why I ended up graduating at 17 instead.
because when I started, I think when I started college, I think I was still 17
Mm,
because my birthday's in October. So with school, school starts September.
right.
You graduate in June. So if you
Mm-hmm.
16, you graduate in June. You know, if your birthday is later in the month, you don't turn 17 until later in the month. So even if
Mm-hmm.
you graduate high school the way at on time, the way you're supposed to, you ain't turning 18. If you're 17, you graduate. You're not turning 18 until you get to the end of the month,
Right. So
which you
basically,
graduate in June.
right, because see, that's the thing. I actually didn't go to school right after after high school, so I really didn't start college till I was 18. Because that first semester after high school, I didn't go to school. We were still working out the money and all of it. So I didn't start school till winter semester that following year. So I was actually 18 when I went to college.
Because my parents told me I had to go to college.
Mm-hmm. Same.
So but I went to a culinary school, so I was learning to be a chef. I didn't go to
Mm-hmm.
no regular college.
So you basically went to trade school, and
Basically,
I love to have a discussion, and we should on another episode. But I definitely want to get this last topic in, what we call the
yeah.
chef. So again, we're gonna take a commercial break, and then we're gonna bring you what Road likes to call the "What Would You Do" segment. And this one is interesting. At least I thought it was. We'll see what you guys think once we get back on the show known as Speaking Freely with Ms Gigo. Next, what would you do? After these words from Nighthawk Network, Nighthawk Network, our voices from our people. Hey, this is your boy Ebook. And if you're looking for some great desserts, something sweet, something to treat yourself with, please check out my girl Caramel Sweets here in the Metro Detroit area. She can make desserts for your function, your event, or just for that special someone you want to give something nice to. So check her out. It's Caramel Sweets. You can find her on Facebook and Instagram. We appreciate you. All right, y'all, we are back. This is Speaking Freely with Ms Gigo. That, of course, is Ms Gigo, Ms Road to Stardom herself. And I, of course, am Ebook, co-hosting the show this week as we talk about topics and scenarios and what you would do and what you think about them. Thank you so far for everybody who has commented and has been watching the show. I'm watching the numbers. It's looking good, y'all. Keep it up. Keep the comments coming. All right, now we are into the what you would do portion of the show. So we are asking you, what would you do in the following scenario? Let me break it down. All right. What would you do? You are a 20-year-old working in a fast food establishment, okay? Your manager has seen that you are doing a quality job and has determined that she wants to promote you to a manager, all right? So far we got 20-year-old working at a store being promoted to manager. She is now a manager trainee. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Keep in mind, I have been all levels of manager. So the way it usually goes in most stores, your general manager is usually not the person who trains you. Usually it's one of the other managers that trains you. They training manager, okay? And that training manager usually is the assistant manager in most places. In this case, that was also true. The training manager is the assistant manager. So she is working primarily with him. Okay, store manager is a her, assistant manager is a him, other manager that's involved in the story is a her. She is a her. Okay, we with it so far?
Mm-hmm.
All right, now, age comes into play here. Store manager's in her 40s, okay? The person that's training her, the assistant manager, is a senior citizen. In other words, he is over the age of 65. All right. He is actually the person who has worked at that particular location the longest. All right. He is training this young lady to be a manager. One, because he's the training manager, and two, because she's training to be an afternoon manager. The store manager in most stores usually works during the day. Okay. I don't advise that, by the way. If you are a store manager, make sure you pop in at your store at night sometime. Usually, if your store has an issue, it's usually happening in that afternoon or evening shift. Years of
Mm-hmm.
experience talking here. Trust me, I know. Sometimes I popped in on them and found all type of crazy stuff going on. But anyway, back to the story. So this young lady is training to be a manager. Now, she is starting to have a problem because the training manager, who is the assistant manager, who's a senior citizen, works primarily from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. And then the evening manager comes in at 8 to work the evening shift. Okay? What's been happening is that evening manager that works at 8 p.m. is usually late. Okay? She is usually late. Key part of the story. The assistant training manager, again, senior citizen, he is a salary worker, which basically means that you work for a salary. There is no set hours for you. You get paid weekly what you get paid. Okay? For most managers that are in that scenario, they usually look at it from the standpoint of, okay, since I only get paid so much because I'm salary, it's not in my best interest to stay past the amount of time I'm supposed to be there. Because I technically don't get paid for that. Though you technically do, because basically you're a salary manager, you get paid for being there. Period. Regardless of scenario. Now, in the fast food business as I know it, it is better for you to stay at the store if the store is going through a busy period, okay? You should just not up and leave the store if your store is currently busy. The assistant manager has chosen to say, nope, at 8 o'clock, I'm gone. I don't give a smurf what's going on. Busy, not busy, I'm out. The only problem is you cannot leave the store if there's no manager there. You can't just leave the manager trainee by herself. So he always ends up having to wait for the other manager who, as I explained, has been late. Okay? The problem that the manager trainees run into is that now, during that time period, it's always busy and crazy. The store manager comes in late. Okay? Road, are you with me?
I'm with you.
Okay. What happens is, what he does now is that as soon as she comes in and punches in the clock, he leaves the building. Period. Him out. Deuces. So if it's 20 people in line, 4 people in line, he don't give a damn. He out. And his excuse is, okay, I'm only required to work this many hours. I'm on salary. I'm a senior citizen. When it's time for me to go, I need to go. So whether you was late or not, I don't give a damn who in this line. I'm gone. And this has been happening for the last few weeks now. Now, understand the manager trainee is now a monkey in the middle of this war between him and the other manager. The store manager is aware of it to a degree. She basically addressed it as, okay, look, you need to come on time. He has a right to leave once you get here. That is what she has said. But again, me being a manager, I know it's wrong to just up and leave like that, and the store is busy. That's a bad dude because your customers suffer because of that. The rest of your crew suffers because of that. People have quit in this particular scenario because it goes down that way. And he's allowed to do that, and she's allowed to keep coming late like that. Now, the problem is recently the district manager came to the store. And this was right after he up and left, and everything was all chaotic and crazy. Okay? Basically, at that time, the trainee was like, okay, basically talk to her. I'm just a trainee, blah, 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 blah. The question, my people, in the what you do standpoint is, okay, this is what you have to work with right now. You the manager trainee, what would you do?
Well, in this person's situation, if I'm the manager trainee and he's the one that was supposed to be training me, then they should be setting his hours to where he's there with me, still training me. I get it, he's a senior citizen, but if they put him there to train me, he has to be there to train me. I get it from 8, I get it. You work from, let's say, 8 in the morning to 12 noon, that's your shift. And, but they saying, well, we got a new manager and training coming in. We need you to train her or him. Then they need to set it to where he gets paid, but still is able to train these new manager and training. Because if it was, and then for the two managers to be going at it, which is like if they going at it, that's not good for business because people see it. If it's in front of customers, that's not good for business. And then plus, if he's not training her good enough to where she's working night shift and she can't handle it, she gonna go back to being a crew member and not a manager because he's not training her correctly.
All right, you. That's what you got at the moment.
That's what I got.
Okay, now again, let me ask: have you ever worked at a fast food place before?
No.
Okay, so because I have more experience than your average person in this scenario, let me break down several things. And I know it's people in the network. If you hear, I know y'all have. So by all means, okay. Queen is saying find a new job. All right, now I say it depends on certain factors, Queen. First of all, if you are training with this individual, because he's the main character in this, truthfully, because he is the person training you, and usually, if you are the training manager, it's primarily on you to decide whether or not that person is ready to be a manager. And then the store manager determines whether or not your assessment is correct. That's usually how that goes, okay? So, on the one
Hmm.
hand, she does not want to piss him off because he the one that kind of holds the future in his hands at the moment. Part of the problem is that the other manager is late consistently. Me myself as store manager, I would not have accepted that. This particular store manager does for whatever reason. I would not accept that. Okay? The reason why is because as a store manager, it's a real bad look if I'm late consistently. People gonna have an issue with that. Particularly people that work in my stuff. It's an issue because if that manager is allowed to be late in this day and age of crew and employees, the first thing that happens when you get on them for being late, what are they gonna say, Ro? You let so and so be late.
Yep.
Why I can't be late? You ain't write her up. You ain't suspend her. Why I'm in trouble? That's a bad do. One of my
Yep.
main policies as store manager was this: I'm never gonna ask you to do anything that I'm not willing to do myself. I held that standard for my managers and my crew. I'm not gonna ask you to do nothing. That's why purposely I would stay extra sometimes and do crew work just to establish, yeah, you here because we want you to be here, not because we need you to be here. I know how to mop this floor. I know how to change this grease. If in the end I'm the one that's got to do it because you didn't do it right or because you can't do it, guess what? My next move is to get rid of you and find somebody that can do the job. Because if I got to do my job and your job, what I need you for? Okay? Now, you the manager trainer. You trying to learn how to be a proper manager so you can do your job correctly. Neither one of these two managers, in my estimation, is doing their job correctly. She's not doing her job correctly because she's not coming in, and you really should come in before your scheduled time as a manager. Just in case there's a problem, especially if you notice the pattern is that it's starting to be busy right around the time you come in. Another key factor that I did not mention is that this third manager, the night manager, she is also an hourly employee. Okay? So if you come in early and punch in, guess what? You're getting paid for that time. Technically, the manager, that's the salary manager, is not getting paid for the extra time. He still should stay extra to get everything back on course so everything starts out with an even flow because that's good from the employee standpoint. Why would I want to work on your shift when I know that when it's time for you to go at 8, and I don't leave before you, I still got to deal with all the mess and chaos you done left me with this next manager, who is now in a bad mood every day when you leave like that because you done left like that. And I got to deal with this because she mad at you. And again, as manager trainee, this is not what I signed up for. I'm just trying to learn how to be a good manager. And I see that neither one of you two is, okay? So what I do, the first thing I'm doing is talking to my store manager. I'm like, look, this what's going on when you ain't here. This ain't right. I ain't trying to get no trouble, but I can't work like this. And at that point, if the store manager be like, well, this is what it is, I'm with Queen at that point, who says, find a new job. At that point, I may not find a new job, but guess what? I'm gonna find a new store to work at, cause I ain't about to deal with this. It's McDonald's or Wendy's or whatever it is. It ain't the government. It ain't nothing like that. I shouldn't have to go through that type of stress at 20. Okay? You also have the other option. Okay? I'm not getting no satisfaction from my store manager. I'm about to hit up day boss and talk to them. So when the district came in, I would have been like, look, let me talk to you in the office for a minute. This was really going on. And I'm telling. Now I understand we live in a society, particularly people that look like us, be like, you snitching? You a snitch? Nah, 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 nah. You're damn right I'm a snitch. Cause I'm trying to get my money. And these people is holding me up from getting my proper money because they don't want to act right. So if that make me a snitch, then damn it, I'm a snitch. Because I ain't come to work for this. I came to work to do my job and make a better living for myself, and this is hurting me from doing that. So if I got to tell on them, then that's what I got to do. Now,
Well,
anybody else in the audience, what would you do?
see, this is my thing. If the night shift manager is keep being late, why nobody in the crew has mentioned that to people over her to say, look, we come here on our shift at night. She's always late, and now we got this new person that she's supposed to be here because in the job, the person over you is there to greet you when you coming in at your shift, be it the manager, the day manager, morning manager, evening manager. They are there. They supposed to be there to greet you, say, "Oh, you the new worker that's training to be a manager," and then they get to training the person. So I get it. He works his. I get it. He's the assistant manager in the day, and so I get it why he's frustrated because he don't want, what I'm saying, I'm only allowed to work a certain amount of hours. I don't get paid if I go over my hours. Some jobs, not saying all jobs, but some jobs is like that. That even if you had to stay after your allotted hours, they don't want to pay you. So I understand that man assistant manager's frustration to have to train this person, and then when it switches from when he gotta go to the new the next manager coming in, then that next manager should have been there already and say, look, I trained her from this time to this time. She's still on shift. Now it's your turn to train her from this time now to the time she leaves. What's so hard about that?
All right, our friend Miss Beverly checking in. Hey, Miss Beverly. She says, yes, talk to the district manager because it seems like the other two managers need to get it together. I completely agree. And if you the
Yep.
store manager and you don't get them together, then that is the next logical move. Now, okay, let me explain the schedule. That probably would help too. The manager trainee works from 4 to 12. So that means she works half the time with her training manager and the other half the time with the night manager. So she has to contend with both of them and be present for that whole scenario. So she's getting it from both ends, basically. He's saying,
That's why I
okay,
was.
well, she gonna be late. I'm leaving, and na. Hope you ready. And she's saying, yeah, he ain't supposed to be doing that. He left, and now you don't know what you're doing. Blah 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 blah. And you know he was supposed to teach you that, and I can't teach you that because you training with him. And she monkey in the middle, literally.
But that's the thing. If she has to work from 4 to 12, that's her shift. The company that she works for, be it McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, whatever. If he's the noon afternoon shift training the assistant to train the managers, the new managers coming in, then the night manager should be the same thing. They should be splitting the same duties because if she's there from 4 and he has to train her from the time from 4 to the time he get off, the next manager coming in takes over takes over his duty. You understand what I'm saying? The next manager comes in on time, takes over his duty to finish training what he already started.
I mean, like it or not, the third manager in the scenario, the night manager, I understand you're not getting paid for that, but you helping to train that young lady too. Like it or not, that is the case. Okay, if she working on your shift as a manager trainee and she got some power as manager, that means you got some say so just like he do. Okay? But that also
Mm-hmm.
means just like you taking on the strengths, you taking on the weakness. In other words, just like you got the ability to lift the tall buildings, you also get hit by the kryptonite. You see what I'm saying? So you need to keep that in mind because remember, she is training to be a afternoon evening manager, okay? And the way my mind
Mm-hmm.
works, if I got her training with y'all, that's because either she gonna be working with y'all to help make y'all better, or truthfully, she's training with y'all because in the end, she gonna be one of y'all replacement. Now, from where I'm sitting, I can argue, yeah, I wants to eventually, as store manager, just have her train with me. And then once I get her properly trained, one of y'all got to get. And truthfully, I'm not putting up with none of that mess from either one of y'all. Both of y'all got to go. Now understand, it's somewhat easy to get rid of a basic manager. Get rid of an assistant manager, that's a little bit harder. Because usually you have to have the authorization of your district manager to do that in most places. Unless, of course, they're doing something that's unlawful. Like, I don't know if y'all remember the After Dark edition. But I remember the one time I told you I caught my assistant manager doing some bad stuff that turned out to be something strange for some change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was allowed to fire her immediately.
That's why I was saying, if like the day manager, you train her to it's time for you to go, and when the switches managers to the night manager takes over and still continues to train the manager in training.
Right. Now, I talked to somebody about this, and they said, well, okay, they need to get rid of the senior citizen manager. Now, I understand in the world of this fast food in this day and age, most places, it's not good for somebody that age to be working to that
But in
degree.
in the economy we live in,
That's the part. Because, most people can't afford to live on Social Security at 65. It don't pay for enough. So I'm feeling like he there because he got to be. And
hmm
he should be penalized for being his age, especially since you done been at that location longer than anybody, even the store manager. So it's not fair to be up like, okay,
but
well, I'm firing you because you done
this
got
is not
old now.
here's another thing I got. I was just thinking. You said he's an assistant manager and he's been there the longest. Why is he not manager?
Okay, that I don't have the answer to. If I was
It's
to take
when
a
you think
stab at,
about it, you said he was the one been there the longest.
Hmm.
You would think he would be the one that would be a full on manager, not an assistant manager, since he's been there the longest.
Here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking the reason why that is because he did not want the responsibility of a store manager. Remember, this is the same person saying, "Yeah, whenever you get here, I'm gone because as a salary manager, I only get paid to do so much." If that's your mentality as assistant manager, I imagine it would be the same as a store manager. And you can't have that mentality as a store manager. Your store will fail. You will get fired. You got to look at it like I'm here. And the only time I ain't here, I'm still technically here. Because my thought was, as a store manager, I have to be on 24/7 call. Because something may happen, they may get to fighting or whatever the case may be. And now I got to come punch in and figure all this out in real time. And maybe that's a responsibility he didn't want to have.
So he should. I would say, I know he need the money, but he should have been a part timer.
I mean, bottom line, at 65, I would not be assistant manager. That's not a good role for somebody. Even if you're a vibrant 65 in this day and age, and these type of people, no,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't do it. I mean, I
Yeah,
sympathize for him needing that money if that's the case. I'm assuming it is, but I wouldn't do it.
because I don't. To me, it's like I'm hired. I'm being when she was a crew member, you trained her to of how to be a crew member. Now she done succeeded in being a crew member. That the manager said, you know what, I think you'd be good as a manager, and said we would train you so you could become a manager. But the manager who the person who suggested she should become a manager should have assessed it and said, I know he's here during the day. He's an assistant manager, and I know he's the one they're gonna make train her. But I think I'll take that duty on to train her so she's properly trained. Because like you said, if they've slammed and he's deciding to leave and not help because he don't get paid if he stay over a little time over, yeah, I would have somebody else train her.
I mean, because what I'm thinking
I
is
would
the
have
reason
somebody else
why
train her.
you want her to be a manager is because you want her to be a bridge between them other two. So that if she is the manager and he is the manager on that shift, he can basically leave whenever he get ready because you still got a reliable manager on that shift till the next manager come in. Now, if you still continue to have a problem with the manager that's always late, you then can utilize that manager to take her spot and then train somebody else to take the manager trainee spot on the in between shift. That's what I'm thinking. Or you basically training his eventual replacement because you figure eventually he is 60 something years old, he about to leave at some point or eventually get called to the upper room, whatever the case may
Or
be.
or it could be, you know how some jobs the benefits is good and that's why they
Hmm.
took the job in the first place.
Hmm.
So depending on what place they're working, if the benefits is good, that's why he's probably took the, because look at Venus, look at Venus. She went
Right.
back to playing tennis just so
Because
she
of
could have
her
medical
health insurance.
coverage.
Exactly. And I don't understand that either because I thought she was a multimillionaire. Well, she is now because, of course, her husband definitely is. So, no longer necessary. And even that, if you ain't,
But
your sister is, she can't help you pay for some bills. That's
but
your
you
best
got
friend.
but just think certain people's medical situation. Just like you said, the girl with the in the last one where
Mm,
she was diagnosed with cancer.
mm,
Just imagine she has a medical condition. It may not be visible to us, the human eye,
mm.
because we don't, you know.
Right. Well, we already
But
know
let's just say she got a
Venus
medical
does
condition,
have multiple medical conditions. We know that.
and that's why she need the medical. That's why she went back to playing tennis for the medical, because the when you go visit the doctor, there's a copay,
Mm,
and then if you are taking medicine, like the medicine, depending on what type of medicine she's taking, it costs a lot. Because even my mother, she was taking medicine. She said she didn't have the Social Security helping her. She wouldn't be able to just wouldn't be able to afford her medicine
just
for
me.
cancer.
Just me you talking to. If anybody understand about medical and medicines,
But
it's me.
but hers wasn't in the hundreds. I'm talking about her medicines like in the thousands. That
Hello again. Me.
I
And
know you understand, but I'm just saying. I'm saying to the people
yeah.
that her it wasn't like, oh, this is 400. Nope, her, because she had to put her in remission with her cancer. She had stem cell treatment,
Mm,
right? She did that, and when they sent the her the health coverage that she had covered it. But when they send her a statement every month to let her know this is how much your procedure cost, she said if she didn't have that coverage, the what was written on that paper, she would have been in debt trying to pay that. Just all because of the stem cell treatment that
yeah.
put her in remission of her cancer.
Well, trust me, I get that. But okay, to get us back on track here. Yeah. So that was the what we would do segment, young lady. Basically, I wish her luck.
Yeah.
My advice again: tell who you need to tell, and get them together so you can do your job without all that stress. They ain't paying you enough for that. But okay, this has been the bonus episode Speaking Freely. I hope you liked it. What did you think, bro? Did you like it? Did you like it?
It was good. I like, but that first topic, that one threw me for a loop because I'm thinking these are two white teenagers
And I
trying to
still
get
don't
married.
understand why you just automatically assume they was white. But anyway, we'll have to talk
Because you
about that.
said when you how I came to that conclusion is
Hmm.
when you said he worked on a farm. He works on a farm.
Black
You don't
people
hear
work
too
on
many black
farms.
teenagers talking about I live on a. You don't hear too many black teenagers saying I live on a farm.
Granted, but it makes sense for the simple. Remember, our unfortunate ancestry. There's more of us that look like us know about farming than don't because of that. Unfortunately.
But that one was good. That one was good. If the people you missed the first topic, it was a good one.
Yep, like I said, y'all can go back to this episode or past episodes on the Road to Stardom Network TV page, and also my page, my YouTube page, Eric Buckner Nighthawk Network Detroit. And like I said, Road to Stardom Network TV, you can check it out on there as well. This show usually airs on Sundays at 10, speaking freely. It will be on again this Sunday. And just so you know, I do have another topic for you, Road, if you choose to have it for that show. But I'm sure you will have some other topics of your own as well.
So last Sunday we talked about fumbling your mate, and so sometimes topics like that come across when I'm scrolling through social media. You know, so if y'all in the comments have topics, y'all can definitely hit us up, give us a topic, and we'll talk your topic. If you have a
Absolutely.
what would you do scenario, you can also do that. Also, Miss Beverly's is lived on a farm.
I enjoyed your show working today. Have a good night. Thank you, Miss Beverly, and thank you for tuning in to all the shows. You have been doing that lately. We do appreciate you here at the Nighthawk Network. Thank you for your support.
Thank you. See, see, city folk don't know much about country folk unless you got family in the country and you go visit family in the country. You learn about country folk. And the same thing with country folk that don't know about city folk. If you got family that are city folk, you visit and you learn about your family that are city folk. Vice versa. We learn about each other.
I suggest two shows for y'all if y'all TV heads. The show Green Acres and the show The Beverly Hillbillies. Those two contrasts come into play on those two particular shows. The country life and city life.
Yep. But yeah, this was a good show. Appreciate everybody tuning in. You know, next Sunday will probably be more topics, and whatever topic we come up might have a song attached to it.
All right. Before we go, though, we do want to put out one more piece of information in regards to the show that usually airs this time on Tuesday, which is, of course, the show known as the Indie Experience. Road, the flow is yours. Tell them what you need, baby.
So, for everybody that's still tuned in, I'm looking for guests. These are indie artists. Doesn't matter what genre they perform in. I'm looking for entrepreneurs who are starting their own business. Doesn't matter what kind of business it is. I'm looking for self-published authors, not authors tied to a major publishing company. I don't want those, even though I probably could get those type of authors on the show, but I want those who are doing it for themselves. Because when you look at other podcasts or any type of talk show, those authors who are tied to a big publishing company, they get those interviews. They get to go on those shows and tell people about their latest book or what book they're coming up with next. Same thing with artists. With artists, if they're well known, they get to go on the talk shows and these podcasts because people know who they are. This show, the Indie Experience, was created for those who are doing it for themselves, and that's indie artists, that's self-published authors, that's entrepreneurs who are trying to get their business off the ground. I wouldn't want, I don't want. I mean, Jeff Bezos would bring in numbers, but we already know what Jeff Bezos does. We already know Jeff Bezos is a billionaire. We already know that. I want those people that started from the ground up to start their business, started from the ground up to be an artist. Because there are artists, indie artists, who got great music that we haven't tapped into because we don't know who they are. Yeah, you can go on Spotify, Apple Music, all the streaming platforms, and you can go discover an artist you never heard of before. But you're not going to be able to hear their story. Yeah, you can stream their music, but are you going to hear their story, how they got started? No. This is what the Indie Experience show is podcast is all about. Exposing you to artists, especially in genres you don't technically listen to. You I could have artists on here who's in that's country, and you'll learn something about country music from them. The same thing, rock, pop, whatever the genre is you don't listen to. I could have a guest on the show in that genre that you will learn. You'll be like, wow, I didn't know. And this is where you, the viewers, come in, who tune in every Tuesday, every Sunday. If you come across a person who says I'm an indie artist, you could be walking down the street, somebody hands you, let's say, a CD and say, "This is my music. I would love for you to check it out. I'm a new art." that'll hit you, and you say, "Oh, I know I have somewhere you can go to get exposure, and not everybody will know about you and go listen to your music." So that is it. So if you know anybody who's an entrepreneur starting their own business, doesn't matter what type of business. If you know somebody who's an artist, who's an indie artist, they're not signed to a major label. If you know someone who's a self-published author or thinking about writing a book, they are more than welcome to come on the platform and tell us their story. Now, if you follow me through social media, you always send them to my Facebook, to the Road to Stardom page on Facebook, to my Instagram page is also Road to Stardom, but it's spelled TWO. So if you send them to my Instagram page, it's Road to Stardom TWO. So instead of TO, it's TWO. On TikTok, it's spelled the regular way, Road to Stardom. Facebook, it's on my Facebook page is also Road to Stardom TWO. I don't use X, which is formerly Twitter. I don't use that anymore, but I am on there. So whichever platform you're on the most, you can send them to me through that platform. So you see how on Facebook, if you can't find the page Road to Stardom, I also have another page that is Road to Stardom Radio. They can hit me up on that page as well. And to send me a message or contact me through my email, which is roadtostardom2010 at gmail.com. You can hit me up through the email. And when you send me an email, you let me know if you're a self-published author, you're an entrepreneur, that you're an artist, and you would like to be on the show. And I would explain to you how you get on the show. And that is that. We will see you next time, which is Sunday, for another edition of Speaking Freely with Ms Gigo. Deuces, everybody.